I know you said gain.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like you said gay. we gotta turn the gay down. Not in this household.
Not in this household.
Okay.
Okay.
So I've got the beer for us to try today.
New beer.
I think that you will at least appreciate the origins of this beer.
Okay.
I can't attest to its flavor.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be good or not. I don't even know if I have high hopes for it. Though there are some medals over here on the side of the label, so it might have won an award.
Okay.
It is called Trooper, and it is.
Oh my God! It's Iron Maiden.
It's an official Iron Maiden beer.
Oh, that's dope.
Trooper Premium British beer. So I don't even know what they mean by British beer.
I mean, like, Iron Maiden's from England.
Yeah. Well, there's also...
so is Dave Mustaine. Not Dave Mustaine, that's fucking Metallica. Bruce Dickinson.
It's, well, first off, charged with flavor.
Charged.
Oh, and I guess it's based off the Charge of the Light Brigade?
Probably from their album.
But because there are a couple of different standard British beer styles.
Yeah. Is
this like a bitter? Is it an extra special bitter?
I'm not surprised that they have their own beers because, I mean, they have their own airline.
And they've got I want to say there's a couple of different Iron Maiden beers.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, they got their own airline and everything.
Here's the taste test.
Cheers. I like that.
I'm pleasantly surprised.
I'm very pleasantly surprised with that. That's like a Samuel Adams a little bit, like a Boston lager. It reminds me a lot of Samuel Adams. I could down a 6-pack of that.
It is a bitter.
Out of the two of us, you were the bigger like beer expert with as far as like words go. Like I feel like you can describe it in better words than I can.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of variety of beer.
I keep going back to it. I love it.
So bitters are a type of pale ale, which usually is defined by like what the hops are.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so the classic example most people think of would be an IPA, an India Pale Ale.
Yeah. I actually don't like IPAs a lot.
I don't either. Well, partially because in America, what we decided that meant was like, we're going to take so many hops.
Right. Yeah.
And hurt your mouth.
God.
They're getting better because there are new varieties of IPAs, that are becoming more popular. Juicy IPA.
I have not had those. So they're decent if you don't like better. IPAs.
Yeah. Well, okay. A lot of IPAs get very floral, and it is this like just this weird floralness that it tastes like eating potpourri. That's
a very good description. Yeah.
Sometimes called juicy. They're sometimes called hazy.
I've seen hazy on, especially the brand that I really like. I like the branding of Voodoo Ranger. I like their mascot. And the one beer they do that's seasonal, the one drink they do, Atomic Pumpkin, that's like their one of their seasonal offerings. I love that. But their year-round stuff, it's all IPAs. And I'm like, I like your branding, but I don't like your stuff, so I can't buy it because I'm not going to drink it.
Yeah, I would say go for like a hazy, juicy.
Okay.
New England is another.
New England, okay.
Kind of like those are all kind of end up being synonyms for the same type of beer.
Yeah.
And those usually, there's a much more fruit, juicy flavor.
Okay.
The hops aren't as overpowering, because I'm the same way. I don't like hopped beers.
Oh man, I can't remember the IPA one of my friends had me try, but it was so hoppy, overwhelmingly hoppy.
But British beers tend to be well hopped, but they choose a different type of hop, and they usually don't go as overboard.
This is definitely American what I would prefer.
Yeah.
This is
My favorite brewery is probably Samuel Smith in Yorkshire, and they make beer styles where I don't normally like that kind of beer. They make it. I'm like, oh yes, this is good. But it's also what I'm discovering about European beers in general is if there's an American beer that I don't like, I can probably find the European or British equivalent, and it's so much better.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is a pale ale, which aren't as heavily hopped as an IPA. IPAs were basically created because hops are a preserving ingredient. They would be like, okay, we're sending these off to our troops in India because colonialism, so we are going to put more hops into these to preserve it while it travels.
Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah.
It was the same thing, like, you hear these terms like IPA, and you're like, oh yeah, this must be the beer they made in India?
That's what I thought until, like, I educated myself more. Like, that's what I thought.
Or same thing with the Russian Imperial Stout.
Yeah.
It was beer made mostly in England to be exported to Russia.
Oh, okay.
Because
okay.
Russia liked this type of stout.
Yes.
And so they would make it in England and then ship it off to Russia.
I do love a good Russian stout. Rasputin.
Old Rasputin's one of my favorites.
Old Rasputin is so good. My partner Elle recently got it from Jungle and Gems, and they loved it. I love it as well. It's so good.
I did a cocktail that wasn't quite worth it. It was worth trying once, but it's basically a stout.
Mm-hmm.
And then you float a sherry on top of it.
Oh.
But sherry is very sweet. And
that sounds pretty good.
It was interesting to try, and it's one of those things where it's very rich. And so it'd be like, oh yes, this would be something I would drink in the winter.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, when Ella opened up Rasputin like yesterday, and I loved it, so I'm like, I need to drink that. And the immediate thing out of my mouth was like, you ain't drinking this by a pool. Like, this is not something you are drinking outside at a picnic or by a pool or by a lake. You are like snowed in the dead of winter.
Yeah.
And all you have to do, all that's on your to-do list is drinking this beer.
Yeah, I am very seasonally driven as far as beers go.
Oh, I'm starting to get that way too.
And once, like, spring's actually kind of a weird one. There aren't a lot of beer styles that are heavily associated with spring. The closest one is probably something like a Kolsch, which is a German style. And then summer I'm big on Pilsners and lagers. And then fall hits, and probably my favorite beer style right now is Oktoberfest lagers. Those are really good.
I do love a good Oktoberfest.
And then I get into like
really good one.
Brown ales for later fall, and then the winter hits, and I'm drinking a lot of porters and stouts.
I drink PBR like all year round because that's my favorite. But like when the summertime and springtime hits, I'll gravitate towards some Leinenkugels, especially the Summer Shandy Leinenkugel, and like the fruitier side of the beers. Like I'll start to gravitate more towards those because they remind me of just like, I love the pools and I love water, so I'll just be like, they remind me of just like sitting poolside or lakeside, just enjoying a beer as well. That's
why I love Pilsners for that reason, because like if I've just mowed the lawn, I don't want to drink a stout.
No,
I'm gonna hate myself and be like, you know what's good? I'm really hot and sweaty right now. You know what I should do? Eat a loaf of bread.
Yeah, let me just eat this straight loaf of bread. Well, hey everybody,
welcome. After
that was
8 minutes about our beer. So yeah, overall rating
of
the
Iron Maiden Trooper Premium British Beer.
It's good.
It's good.
I give that a solid like 4 out of 5.
I give it definitely a 4 out of 5. Yeah. I have almost finished it, my share.
But yes, welcome to another episode of Our Haunted Backyard.
Yes, welcome everyone.
The show where we talk about small town spooky, hometown haunts, country road cryptids, and other local legends. I finally had
Did you write it down?
I had it pulled up. I was looking at our podcast page on Spotify, so I could remember what our catchphrase is.
I do love that catchphrase.
I'm Ian.
I'm Eric.
And we're here to talk about spooky stuff with you, our listeners.
Thank you, everyone, so much already for listening. We've already got a lot of followers on Instagram. I know a couple friends that I know listen to us and have sent us stories. So last episode, Whiskey. Again, thank you for those 2 Ouija board stories. Yeah. They were great. Speaking of stories, I think we have another new one today. We
have another email that they want to remain anonymous. So I'm respecting their wishes.
That's fair. Go. Yeah.
They sent us an email about a story. And so I will go ahead and read this. Back in high school, I lived in a haunted house, which sounds very standard, but it gets better.
Okay.
Like it's not just, this is a haunted house. There's an evolution of the story.
I'm going in blind with this email because I figured that you were going to be the one to read it because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking because this is my turn for my research episode.
At the time, a friend and I were really into the paranormal and supernatural. Eventually, we decided we wanted to try ghost hunting. Though we did not have any of the usual equipment, being broke high schoolers outside of a couple of audio recorders, my friend was family friends with a couple who owned a church in town, one that had a history of ghost sightings. One was a female spirit that a number of people had sighted in the building, and people had heard someone shouting the word sanctuary when there was no one else in the building. I'm like, maybe they were watching. Maybe it was just somebody left on Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Right. Yeah. Maybe. And yeah, that's one of those movies you could totally watch in a church. If, like,
Yeah.
it takes place in a church.
Yeah.
It takes place in a church.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, that makes sense.
The other was a dark presence that my friend did not inform me of until we were already inside the building.
That asshole.
So we're like, yeah, we're gonna go check out this church. There's just a nice lady in there. She wanted a place to hang out. So she's called Sanctuary. Also, by the way, the devil's here, and he wants to...
Doors close. I didn't... Doors close immediately. I didn't tell you, but...
Kind of funny, kind of a dick move.
That's a little bit of a dick move, because I would want to know what entities we're kind of come up against, if any.
They don't want to tell the entirety. They said the story of the dark presence wasn't there just to tell, so they don't want to go too deep into it, but they said they did feel what I believe is the presence of that entity that night. My friend, a pastor in training, tried to antagonize this entity by reading scripture at it.
No, man.
Which is just like, not only am I going to not tell you about the demon in this church, I'm gonna poke it with a stick.
Yeah, I'm also going to fuck with it while you're also in my presence.
Be like, yeah, we're gonna go out to the forest and see it's just filled with bunnies. Oh, by the way, there's a grizzly bear here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm also I've got a slingshot, and I'm gonna right between the eyes.
Exactly. It's no different.
I did believe it tried to confront us as the friend was reading scripture. While we did not have the lights on in the building, I did make out a large dark shape down the main hall of the church. I could hear its heavy footfalls as it stared us down.
Oh,
which that is one that
immediate
is a very,
nope.
Yeah, that is a very classic like shadow person entity. You look down the hallway and there is a darker darkness.
Yeah, like it's like you already have no lights on in this place, but then you look down a hallway and you see the uncharacteristically dark. Like, you know what darkness looks like, and then you see, and it's just way too dark. Mm-hmm. Like, all the light has been removed from it, almost like a black hole kind of thing.
So I know like exactly what they're talking about, and that would be terrifying.
God, yeah.
That was the only activity we observed that night. While we did take photos and audio recordings, no evidence was recorded. However, about a week or so later, I noticed unusual things happening in my own home.
Because it probably followed him. Something probably followed him home.
Have you ever been in a room by yourself but felt another person enter without seeing them directly? Yes. I've had that, like, where like I'll be in the bedroom or something like that, and then I'll know my wife has come in.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
I would feel this frequently in my room when I was there trying to sleep. I have reason to believe that the female entity from that church followed me home.
At least it was that.
Yeah. I was like, this is best case scenario.
This is best case scenario.
Not only would she watch me sleep, even touching me on occasion, but when I was not at home, either at school or theater practice, she would make noise upstairs, and I would come home to my mother saying, "Your ghost missed you."
Oh, well, that's kind of sweet.
This lady's like, "Look, my roommate's a dick.
Yeah, like, she just wanted to get out of that situation.
Can I come crash with you?"
Yeah.
This is honestly like best case scenario in my mind.
Yeah.
It is kind of sweet.
It is kind of like a sweet thing. Sometimes they don't all have to be scary.
There was even an instance where she would interact with my mother. One day she was brushing her hair after taking a shower, but her phone was ringing in the other room. She set her brush down and went to answer it. Upon returning, she found the brush missing. She later found it inside the bathroom closet beneath a stack of towels.
Okay, that's mischievous.
And that goes beyond, like, sometimes there are things where, like, oh yeah, this house is so haunted, this door opened and closed, or things fell off the shelf, and you have a cat. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it was probably the cat. Having a hairbrush end up inside a closet under a stack of towels, that's a talented cat.
Yeah, that's a smart ass cat.
So that is one where I'm like, that sounds more spooky to me than that is less easily explainable. Yeah,
especially because it's under something that had to be physically placed there.
There was another instance where my mother and one of her friends and their daughters and I were in the living room watching a movie. Every so often, a bright white light would flash in the next room over. Eventually, I went to investigate, only for one of the lamps to suddenly flash repeatedly until I unplugged it. This was an old lamp, and the wiring may have been going out. However, the lamp gave off a warm yellow light. The light we were seeing before I investigated was bright white. Was it trying to warn us of the lamp's old wiring that could have potentially started a fire? Possibly, but I also may be interpreting intent where there was none. I would have occasional experiences like this until we eventually moved out of the house when I was 19. As far as I know, that spirit stayed behind.
Okay. I like to think that it was a warning. Like, again, I like believing in, like, the other side. I like to think that, again, it's not all just doom and gloom and spooky and evil spirits. Like, I like to think that there are just spirits that are just stuck. Yeah. And they don't really want to or can't move on.
And that they're like helpful and stuff like that. Like with the lamp, I'm like, okay, if it was old wiring, that could explain why the lamp was acting up. The lamp normally giving off a yellow light where when you and that would also be the thing with like what type of light bulb do you have in there? Where it's like when it's normally plugged in and you have this one light bulb usually gives off a yellow light, but it started giving off white light, which is very different.
That's very weird, and
that
different.
Is weird too.
Yeah.
I like stories like that because it is one of those nice things where, like, oh yeah, ghosts can be cool.
Yeah, ghosts can be cool and chill.
Like a lot of times where, like, if you have a ghost acting up in your house, all you have to do is be like, yeah, I know you're here. We got to share this space. Let's be chill.
Yeah, and I know that there's like if a way that I've heard to make sure like if you do go into a supposedly haunted place, you have the power to be like, do not follow me home. You are not allowed. You're supposed to actively say that out into like the space. Yes, I'm coming into your space, but you are not allowed to follow me home. You have to stay here. Basically, like, verbally laying down the law of, like, you are not allowed to follow me home.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard that also as a way to prevent things from attaching themselves.
And it's also always important to remember that, like, you've got arms and the ghost doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, people get so afraid of ghosts and not want to mess with them. Like, remember, you're alive, and that's a lot different than being dead. They can't, like, pick things up, usually. Like, there's a limit to what they can do where, like, you can go get some salt, get some holy water, whatever it is. Like, if you're afraid of a ghost, you could probably beat it up.
There's a lot of old lore that say iron is protection against demons and ghosts. Iron is something that you can have on you. Yeah. It also wards off fae.
My biggest
good neighbors
piece of advice where, like, if you are dealing with spirits is be nice to them.
And,
like, that's usually the best way, I think, to deal with that kind of life in general.
Yeah.
Be chill.
Yeah, just be chill.
Every bit, like, that's like 90% of the things that you're going to encounter just want to be chill, and they want you to be chill.
Exactly.
Whether it's, like, something more on the spiritual side, or if it's just a human.
Yeah.
Like, just be chill.
Just be chill about it. Thank you for that wonderful email, Anonymous.
Yes, thank you so much. That's a really cool, it is a very unique story.
It is, I like that story a lot.
But yes, if you have a story to share that you would like for us to read and discuss, send it to us at hauntedbackyardcast@gmail.com.
And we will read them on the shows. And if we get bombarded with emails, it might take a little bit for your story to get on. But we've only had a couple emails so far, so we've been able to get to them pretty frequently.
And we might eventually turn them into an episode where it's like, okay, yeah, we're going to do a user, or not a user.
Oh, yeah, I love those.
Listener submission episode where we just talk, where we read your stories and talk about them and have a good time. Because we like talking about this stuff with people.
And it is now time to get into our main topic for this evening.
I'm excited for this one.
This one is one that I kind of didn't know about till recently. Mm-hmm. I didn't know about this whole, I'm going to call, I don't know really what the right word to call it, but I'm going to call it like this whole story or like saga, basically.
It's like mythos.
Mythos, that's a way better word. Mythos around this town. Again, still in Ohio. We are talking about the now famous
or infamous
town of Helltown, Ohio, on this episode. It's not like Hell, Michigan. It's if you've ever heard of that place, which is just literally a fully functioning town just named Hell. It's a kind of population and everything in Michigan.
And that population is 666 people?
Yeah, people. You can get married there, which is funny. Helltown is really Boston, Ohio. The area, a little backstory for the area. The area was, in the history books, the area said it was founded in 1758 by Native Americans, but that was probably earlier than that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna guess that was a little earlier than 1758. It was white colonizers came over in about 1758 and found it that way. And then there was a big massacre in 1782 caused by tribal infighting and one of the tribes that did side with the colonies. So, like, one side sided with the European colonies that came over, and the other tribe that was in Boston did not. And there was just that tribe and the colonizers fighting over this land.
That happened a lot. There was that was something the colonizers would do very frequently, was play different tribes, villages, groups off each other to be able to do what they do, which is get their land.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, in my research, it did not tell me exactly what tribes founded and were in this area. So if you do know, you can email us and let us know, or even just, you can email us and know, or on Twitter or on Instagram, let me know. But, like, I could not find the specific names of the tribes that were in this area. So I do apologize for that. There's also a tribal war trail. It resulted in burial mounds also in the area. So tribal burial mounds were also in the area. The area was resettled in 1806. That's like the little back history. Yeah. And that's just the general back history of the area. It doesn't really start getting weird until 1960. Because in 1960, there was a movement to restore national parkland by the president at the time, Gerald Ford.
That would be Gerald Ford was 70s.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Lyndon B. Johnson would have been, 1960 would have been John F. Kennedy.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
So like
that, my research was wrong. But I appreciate you correcting me on that.
This would be Gerald Ford. That would be 75.
I guess what probably happened was the national park restoring movement started in 1960.
Yeah.
And in the 1970s, Gerald Ford decided to enact it onto Boston, Ohio, because he charged a guy in 1974 named William Birdsell as the National Parks Recreation Superintendent.
I just like the last name Birdsell.
Right. I know. I like that last name too.
It's kind of like the history. A lot of last names for Europeans end up being like what the job was.
Yeah.
And so like you get Smith. They used to be Smiths.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. My last name is Birdsell. What do you do? I sell birds.
Sell birds. That's what my dad did.
I got a finch. I got a little robin. What kind of bird? Here's my trench coat filled with birds. Just, hey kids, wanna buy a bird?
Like he opens his trench coat.
Oh, it'd be like Pigeon Man from Hey Arnold.
Oh my god, yeah. It's like Pigeon Man from Hey Arnold. Oh man, I loved that cartoon, man. Mm-hmm. That got really weird a couple episodes too.
There's also some spooky episodes.
Oh god, the train episode.
I was about to say the train episode. That music at the end
gave me nightmares for like 3 fucking weeks.
Yeah. That might be, if we eventually get a Patreon and do like Patreon specials, having like viewing parties of old Nickelodeon,
of old like Halloween specials.
Yeah.
God,
like
yes.
The one with not Nickelodeon, but it was Family Matters. Was that the one with Steve Urkel?
Yeah, Evil Steve.
Or with the doll.
Yeah, Stevel.
Yeah.
Stevel. Yeah, God, that was like Chucky for like primetime television.
It was, yeah. We'll like do viewing parties of that or something.
Oh, dude, I would love that. That would be so great. We just need to get on it and start a Patreon and see what happens. But yeah, and so in the 1970s and 1974, per William Birdsell, people were informed to sell their homes. This is like in the 1970s. It's not recent, but like we have footage of this. This is current time.
Like it's within living memory.
It's within that's the word. This is within living memory of people. So in like 1970s and 1974, people were informed that they were going to have to sell all of their homes in Boston, Ohio to the government, and they weren't really going to get a lot of money for them. Mm-hmm. They were not getting what their homes were actually worth.
Yeah, it's eminent domain.
So yeah, it was very much eminent domain. Yeah. And armies also would forcibly remove residents from their homes. There is a real documentary by PBS that you can watch that I wasn't able to watch for the episode, but I should have. But it's called For the Greater Good, and it is just a straight-laced documentary on documentary, like it was filmed during the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It wasn't like after the fact. It was filmed. There's footage of it filmed during the time of people having to basically evacuate this entire town.
I'll have to look that one up. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, I should have. I wasn't able to watch it before this. The army had to forcefully remove people from their homes. Buildings were burned, boarded, and were torn down. even citizens went to court for the town. Like, they were trying to save their homes. A lot of people just didn't want to leave, which a lot of people built their lives at this place. This place.
I can start to see this is a very fertile ground for kind of the weirder stuff, especially the conspiracy side of the weirder stuff.
Oh, man. I haven't even got there yet.
Yeah, but like just the foreshadowing, I can see why people started constructing theories.
Oh, yeah. There's theories in this thing that range from like experimental chemical leaks to government cover-ups of like chemical leaks to mutants to monsters. Yeah, the reason like why we're talking about it is because like this thing runs the gambit of just like weird stuff that's supposed to happen. And, and Ian and I were talking about it before we recorded. Since it's within living memory, the like spark that started this is within living memory. We get to see how folklore grows with this place.
Yeah, because I spent a little bit of time researching Helltown before you decided that it was going to be, you wanted to do the episode on it. And just like the cursory glance that I took, there's so much. And I was like, I know 90% of this is probably nothing, but it's still really interesting to see how this tragic event, like this,
it's
like
very tragic.
Like for the government to come in and say, hey, you all have to leave.
Could you fucking imagine just that happening like today in 2022, like anywhere?
Oh, no. Yeah, and especially the fact that they're like, we're not going to pay you what your house is worth.
Not at
like,
all.
Oh
man. Yeah, no, it's crazy. And yeah, people were like going to court, trying to like stay in their town, trying to like basically like collectively sue the government. It was found that the homes were purchased illegally from the government, and residents were given the option to repurchase their homes, but like no one did because they were just so angry, and they had already like uprooted.
I know there are cases where like the government will buy a bunch of the houses, but then it'll just be one or two people who like, no, I'm staying here.
Yeah.
But then it's just those one or two people. Like, for me, we talked a little bit about Centralia, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Which was another instance of, I don't think the government did eminent domain necessarily, but it was basically because there was a fire underneath this town.
I have fucking heard of this thing, and it's it's still burning today, isn't it?
Yeah, and
God, that's fucking creepy.
There are still people who live there.
Yeah.
Or there were until recently. I'm not 100% sure if there's still people. But because they're like, this is where I grew up, this is where my life is, I'm not leaving. But then there's also nothing around them.
Yeah.
And like, I can also understand, like, yeah, I would like to buy my house back, but if I'm the only person going to be in this area,
what's the point?
Yeah, like that's going to make life nearly impossible.
Yeah, God, yeah. We'll have to talk about that Pennsylvania too, because the whole like underground fire that's like still burning is fucking terrifying to me.
Even though I never really played the Silent Hill games, like the Silent Hill aesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
I've always kind of dug, and I liked the comics. And Centralia was the basis for the movie.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know that.
And so when I learned that there was a real place that they had based Silent Hill off of, I was like, I gotta know everything about that.
Yeah. But yeah, so no one wanted to come back to this town. So this town is completely abandoned. It's still categorized as a national park. So you can go to it. It's like, it's in this weird, like, gray legal area. You can go...
Call back to last episode... Liminal space.
Exactly. It's this weird liminal space of
turn
like...
that into a drinking game.
Yeah, you could. It's this weird liminal space of like, no one's directly harshly monitoring the area. Like, there's no law enforcement harshly monitoring the area, but you also kind of aren't allowed to be there, but also no one's going to give a shit if you're there. Like, you're not going to go to jail directly for it.
So it's like the plan kind of like they are letting the wildlife grow and take over more.
Exactly.
Is that kind of like the...
It's kind of like that.
Okay, I was about to say, like, if it's meant to be a national park, but they've not turned it into a national park yet.
Yeah, it's still it's like categorized as one, but it's not like been taken care of in the sense of it's a national park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the eyes of the government, it's a national park. But like there's no like park services.
And that would be another like thing where I'm like, fuel for a conspiracy.
Oh, 100%.
Would be like, why isn't this a national park? But at the same time, I could also be like, yeah, if they are waiting for nature to take more of it back, I could see why they're like, yeah, we are not opening it to the public.
Yeah.
We're not doing standard park services, so you can't come out here and go hiking. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. So Birdsell, the guy who originally headed the project, and this is kind of where the conspiracies of it start, because he died of a heart attack in 1980 in the middle of a job transfer.
Oh.
Yeah, like, that's a little weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not one to, like, make conspiracy theories or, like, believe too many of them. But, like,
I am.
like, I believe the one about the national parks. I believe the one that, like, national parks are basically just a giant cage for creatures that we're not supposed to know exist.
I think JFK's head just did that.
Just did.
And it's all a cover-up to hide random head explosion syndrome from Americans.
4 out of... Ask your doctor if you're at risk for random head explosion. It's like spontaneous human combustion.
That would be terrifying.
I know, my God, could you imagine going in the doctor and be like, so we did a myriad of tests. You are not allergic to bees. You are not at risk for hip dysplasia, but you and your family, you do have a history of random head explosions.
Or like, it's one of those, like, where they teach you about stop, drop, and roll as a child. Good thing to learn about. Makes you much more worried about because then you learn stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
And then eventually you learn about spontaneous combustion.
Yeah.
And you get super worried about spontaneous combustion.
Oh my God, I so was as a kid. Because I used to watch, like, Discovery Channel when they would do shit like that.
Now imagine if there was, like, one instance of someone being like, yeah, that guy's head just did that.
Like
and
scanners.
You're like, oh no. I have to constantly have, like, my head wrapped up like a mummy.
Oh, I love mummies. Mummies are dope. But yeah, so that's a little weird. He just had a heart attack. And, like, I mean, he was old, but that's a little, it's one of those things where people can jump on, like, that's weird.
I was about to say, like, how old was he?
I could not recall how old he was. But he wasn't a young man. He was not a young man.
But there are also things, like, is such a thing as a convenient heart attack.
Yeah. It kind of felt like that. Because, again, he was not a young man in 1974. He could have just had a heart attack because he was old. But, like, I don't know. It's super convenient. So, this place, reportedly, because you know how I said the army had to forcibly remove people from their homes, which is incredibly tragic. But supposedly, the army has come in contact with everything from serial killers who were just hanging out there. No specifics on what supposed serial killers, but supposedly the army has encountered serial killers to squatters to mutant creatures.
I'm trying to rank them now. Like, which one? Like, squatter, I'm like, cool, chill, yeah, you're just here. Now, serial killer versus mutant creature.
Yeah.
I think it would, because mutant creature, that's a very broad term. Like,
it
that
is.
Could be like, this is a wolf with 3 heads. Or it could be like, this rabbit, it's got, like, just weird fur.
Yeah, when they said mutant creature.
The fur is slimy, and this is a slimy rabbit.
When they say, ew, God, slimy rabbit just sounds gross. You don't want to pet this bunny. No. When they said mutant creatures, all I could think about was, like, mutants from Fallout. Ghouls from Fallout.
Oh, which would be terrifying.
Which is incredibly terrifying.
Yeah.
But, like, that's kind of what I pictured in my head when they were talking about mutant creatures, was, like, the ghouls from Fallout. And supposedly, some army personnel went missing.
Maybe they're squatters now.
Maybe now they're squatters.
If you get bit by a squatter,
you just become a squatter. You just become homeless if you get bitten by someone who's homeless. You're homeless.
Which is chill. Like
sucks,
guess what? We're gonna turn all of America. It's a plan.
Oh man,
everyone's just gonna go chill in the forest.
So supposedly there are only two roads in Helltown, like main roads. And one of the main road is a Stanford Road, and it's also known as, by a couple different names. It's known as the road, the End of the World Road, or the Highway to Hell.
And that's what they wrote that song about.
Highway to Hell. Yeah. Not written by Iron Maiden, like the beer. That's written by AC/DC.
I was about to say, I think that's AC/DC. My dad rock knowledge is limited.
Yeah, AC/DC is Highway to Hell. Like Iron Maiden, like Run to the Hills is Iron Maiden.
I know Iron Maiden is the D&D band.
Right, Iron Maiden is a D&D. Oh yeah, I even went to Hot Topic recently because I go there a lot, and Iron Maiden has started collabing with Marvel to do like Iron Maiden designs combined with Marvel designs, like that's on their shirts. It's pretty dope. There was one that was supposed to be Eddie who's the mascot of Iron Maiden, who is on this bottle, who's like on every one of their albums. The Skeleboy. He was like in like a Thor inspired outfit. He was on like the Rainbow Bridge of Asgard.
Skeletor.
It was pretty cool. Like I wanted the shirt. It was like a pretty cool shirt. But yeah, so the End of the World Road, or Highway to Hell, it's got that, supposedly this road, it's like got a big hill so it looks like a drop off, which is pretty cool. And that's why it's called the End of the World Road. And it's one of those roads that has I'm sure if you're into the paranormal at all, even base level paranormal, you know about the trope of turning off your car, putting it in neutral, and having your car be pushed by an unseen force.
Mm-hmm. So like pushed up the hill?
Pushed down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not on a hill.
You're not on a hill. It's like you're at base,
surface.
And then it kind of like dips off. Mm-hmm. And so it looks like it falls, but it's like just a steepish hill.
So this doesn't have anything. This would just be any portion of that road where like I'm on the flat part of the road now.
Yeah.
And my car's moving forward.
Yes, I believe that's right.
Yeah. If we could harness ghosts to, oh wait, no, I was just about like to do Ghost Indentured Servitude or something like that.
That sounds like a D&D thing.
I'm sorry, ghosts.
Yeah, no.
I would pay you a fair wage.
Yes. There was a lot of those around like the country. Mostly, I found that they're mostly centered on railroad tracks where a supposed bus accident happened on there's a couple different places around America where this is a thing. Mm-hmm. It's always the same story. A school bus was on a train track, and the school bus supposedly got hit full of kids, and now if you put your car in neutral on a railroad track, the kids will push your car over the railroad tracks so you don't get hit by a train.
The kids are like, you freaking idiot!
Yeah, there's like, we don't want people...
Don't do this!
And then the proof that people have usually is they'll put baby powder on their car, and then they'll come back when their car's like, oh god, it's moving. And then when they get over the tracks, they'll get out of the car, and then you'll see like the fingerprints and the handprints of the kids.
Terrifying.
It's terrifying, but also people don't clean their cars before they do this.
Yeah.
So you're just revealing, most of the time, you're just revealing your own fingerprints. Mm-hmm. And like, again, we come at these things as believers, but unfortunately with that, you do kind of have to accept that sometimes if it's a duck, it's just a duck.
Yeah.
Like, it's sometimes just a duck.
William Birdsell will sell you that duck.
Yeah, William Birdsell will sell you that duck. The other things that happen around here is a supposed satanic cult activity. This is another big one over there. If you have been blessed enough to watch the fake documentary that Ian and I both have watched.
We could get into that now.
Made by the Travel Channel. Called Helltown.
The Travel Channel and Discovery Channel just love...
Oh, man.
I want to know the story behind these documentaries.
I know. I kind of love them for, like, their absurdity.
Yeah.
We could go into more detail of it after, like, we get through the actual information of Helltown. Mm-hmm. It really leans into the cult activity in this one. Like, honestly, this movie would make if they weren't trying to play it as a straight documentary, if you watch it, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, with the documentary, it's how much do they want you to believe that it's real?
Yeah.
Because if they're trying to make you think it's real, they didn't do a good job of it.
No,
though
not
people
at
still
all.
think it's real.
I know.
But, like, I watched, like, 10 minutes of it. I was like, oh, yeah, no, this is 100% fake. But, like, if they didn't want people to think it was real, I was like, okay, doing a pretty good job, could write some of these characters better.
Oh yeah, the YouTuber guy?
The YouTube conspiracy theorists.
Oh, man, that guy is my least and the favorite character in the entire thing. But, yeah, there's a reason that like lightning pole, if there's like a lightning rod reason of why this place is associated with satanic cults, or even just rumors of that, is there are two churches, but the biggest church in there is the Mother of Sorrows Church. And people point to that
Which
one
sounds like an Iron Maiden
Oh yeah, it sounds
album.
Dope as hell. It sounds like an Ice Nine Kills song, or it sounds like a freaking like Bring Me the Horizon fucking song. Like it sounds dope. It's still a church. It's like it's still like considered a church, like how kind of like how like
it's so consecrated.
It's so consecrated. Yeah. That's the word. Kind of how like the Renaissance Festival Church is technically a consecrated church.
Mm-hmm.
It just has a ton of dick architecture.
I mean, well, that's churches for a while. Like, I thought you were about to say there's just been a lot of dicks in there. I'm like, yes,
they're both metaphorically and figuratively and real. But this one, the reason people point to this one being evil and satanic is because of it uses the St. Peter's cross, which is the upside down cross.
I was trying to remember which saint that was, because it's one of those things you encounter frequently. Will be the trope of the upside down cross. Is
supposedly the evil inverted cross is supposed to be the evil version of it. You see it all the time, especially in movies like The Conjuring.
Yeah, but there's actually a tradition of upside down crosses because of Saint Peter.
Yes, there is. Yeah. And that's exactly his cross.
Who was crucified upside down.
Yeah.
Which, like, Jesus, like, tough. Like, that was a tough thing. Doing that upside down might be worse.
You could argue that is worse.
Yeah. I would have to do some research into it, but I'm also kind of curious about the creation of the upside down cross as a satanic symbol.
That would be interesting research.
If that evolved from, like, if an upside down crucifix would be considered satanic.
Mm-hmm.
And then because we don't encounter crucifixes as frequently as we do crosses, if that just got also placed onto the concept of cross being upside down.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That's interesting. Maybe.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Would be like, because Protestants don't put Jesus on there.
Yeah.
And so if you go to a Catholic church, you see a lot of crucifixes. Jesus is on it.
Right, exactly.
But that, I do understand, like, if that was flipped upside down, I
could understand that.
People saying, like, that is a satanic thing. Though that's also, I can go on a huge rant about how Satanism isn't really a thing up until the last 100 years or so.
Exactly.
Like,
that's why these cult things, it's always, I take them with a heavy grain of salt. Yeah, and the biggest, like, thing, again, the Travel Channel documentary loves to talk about this church, and because the biggest thing with the St. Peter's cross is, again, it's used in the architecture. It's also, that was just a style of church architecture back in the day. It's like a Gothic style architecture, and the main entrance to the church, like the main, like where the roof kind of comes at a point, under that roof in the front of the church is the St. Peter's cross. That is used in the very front of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they point to it as being evil. There's also supposedly a red candlelight in an abandoned morgue.
I was about to say red light. There's a red light.
Not that kind of red light. This town reportedly has mutant creatures, government experiments, again, which the fucking fake documentary goes into. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how true this is, but there was purportedly a sulfur smell reported in the town before they were evacuated. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, that's a little bit of research I was doing, and I couldn't even tell if it was substantiated or not, but like it seemed like the most realistic claim that people would come across was that there was a chemical leak of some sort.
Yeah, that was the big one. That was one of the big ones.
But they also mentioned that in the fake documentary, so I was like, is this where that story came from? Or is there a longer history of there might have been something else going on here?
Yeah.
That, honestly, like, knowing some of the things that have happened, like, it happened in Ohio with the government and chemicals and radiation.
Yes.
If we want to get into kind of like the spookier true crime-ish, we could maybe one day do an episode on Fernald's Feed Plant, which is a wild story.
I've never heard of that.
After this episode, we'll talk about it. It's wild. So there's a part of me that could be like, I could actually see some kind of chemical leak happening in this area, and then instead of owning up to it, because that was peak Cold War.
That's peak MK Ultra time, too.
Yeah, well, there was so much going on.
Too much going on.
I could understand and see a government chemical testing facility leaked into the water supply, and the government's like, we can't tell anybody about this, so eminent domain, we want to make a national park?
I could believe that 100%. Yeah. Like, that sounds plausible.
Like, that's one of the reasons where I'm like, I want to know that story. Like, I want to know where that story came up, how far back it goes. Yeah, is it just as old as 2017?
Yeah, that sounds, the whole, like, a chemical thing leaking, and we just don't want to, they don't want to admit they fucked up. That sounds like the government.
Yeah. That
sounds like, especially that time period government. That sounds like something that they would do. But then, One of the things I love about Helltown, because the weirdness about Helltown, is it not only are there just so many stories about it that are just weird that either can be true or not true, it's got some of the dopest names for shit in this town. Because, like, what do we have? Helltown, because it's
awesome,
like, badass name. And then you had End of the World Road, or Highway to Hell, kick-ass name. And now we get to the other thing, and there was an orphanage in this town that supposedly caught fire. And there are 2 names for this orphanage. One of the names is Light of Hope Orphanage.
Aww.
Very nice. But then it come to my absolute favorite name for this, out of this whole research, Gore Orphanage.
The Gorphanage.
The Gorphanage!
That is my professional wrestling faction now.
The Gorphanage.
We're all going to be heavy metal orphans.
Oh, dude.
We're the Gorphanage.
Dude, it's like the Wyatt family, but like, but
it's if the Wyatt family opened up an orphanage.
Yeah, it's like the Wyatt family opened up an orphanage.
Which, first off, I would not, no. Just don't do that.
Don't do that. The Gore Orphanage was built in the early 1900s, and it mysteriously caught fire, resulting in the deaths of 4 adults and, unfortunately, 100 children.
And that's substantiated? Like, that's an thing?
Yeah, that's an actual thing. That's an actual thing. This is supposedly has a lot of kind of the tropes of a ritual haunting. Just in case you're unfamiliar with that, there are things called active hauntings, where the ghosts and the spirits and the entities, I guess for lack of a better word, antagonize or actively participating, like moving stuff off a thing, like pushing things around, people feeling touched, people feeling presence, people hearing voices, calling out directly to them. And then there's like a ritual haunting, where it's almost like you're witnessing, like you're in the middle of a time replaying itself. Like the ghosts and the entities are trapped within this section of time that they can't escape from, and you are watching that play in front of you or actively around you, as like almost like you're in the middle of the actual event happening, but the spirits and the entities either have no control and they're trapped, or that was such a tragic event that the energy was left there, and it's so potent that it, for lack of a better word, recorded in that area, and it just plays in a loop. And that's supposedly what's going on at this orphanage. People hear distant screams, seeing strange apparitions. It's a burned down orphanage. How much more fucking creepy can you get?
Yeah, that would be another one of those ones where it's like, I can see why there are stories about this place. Like,
God, this is prime stuff for, like, I am very surprised there, besides that dumb documentary, why isn't there like a movie out of this that's based off of this directly?
Both pro and con why there's no movie. Part of it is there seems to be so little detail about a lot of things. It's like, okay, mutants. What are we talking about with mutants? I remember hearing about the serial killer, and specifically there's a bus. There's like an abandoned
I was
bus.
actually going to get to that too.
But there's so little detail. I could see people being like, there's no story here. But at the same time, I'm like, that's why you get to make a story.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. Like, since there's such open-ended of like he said, they said, she said kind of thing. There's so much you could birth out of it. The other one was the supposed bus crash. This one's just only hearsay, because there's no actual report of a bus crash happening there. There was, I think, one day an abandoned school bus just showed up in this area.
It's just you got spontaneous combustion, random head explosion, occasional school bus.
Occasional school bus. Just poof. Like a school bus was abandoned there randomly one day, and people started making up stories about it. Honestly, this, like I said, this thing runs the gambit. Not only is there a gore orphanage that's just haunted as hell, and there's reports of underground test facilities. There's reports of half human, half animal mutants.
The half human, half slime rabbit.
Yeah.
That they developed the slime rabbit, and they're like, we gotta make this also human.
And there's also a report of giant pythons roaming the area.
Well, they need to keep the slime rabbit population in check.
Yes, so they introduced an invasive giant I'm talking like Anaconda, like the movie Anaconda. Have you ever seen that movie?
I am aware of the movie.
That size of snake, that size of anaconda, supposedly in this area. Never mind that it's not native to Ohio.
I love this. This is such a good town. I want to repopulate it.
There's also the last thing I have, that I wish there was more stories about it. Maybe there is, and I was just not able to find them. But there's supposedly a ghost house that it just appears in the woods during the day, and will disappear and reappear.
There's a house, yeah. I'm going to become mayor of Helltown
man.
Like head of the tourism bureau.
Dude.
I'll be writing a jingle. Come to Helltown, see our giant python.
Oh man, come to Helltown.
Welcome to Helltown. We got a ghost house. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
It reminded me of the everything relates back to comic books with me. Because it reminded me of the House of Mystery that the Justice League Dark inhabits, that John Constantine is actually the caretaker of, that just can appear anywhere in time and space. It's almost like it's a TARDIS, but it's a whole fucking house, and it's like supernatural. And go read Justice League Dark comics. They were actually really freaking good. And then maybe Guillermo del Toro will make the fucking movie. It's been in development hell for years, and I'm still salty about it.
Speaking of movies...
hey, there we go. A natural transition.
We've talked a little bit about this documentary, which I have not finished yet.
Yeah.
But, so, in 2017, Travel Channel...
Love them.
...is like, hey, guess what? Fake documentary.
It was a joint venture, but I think it was now Travel Channel and Discovery are kind of under the same umbrella.
Yeah, I think they've been the same.
Yeah.
They've been, it's the same company.
Yeah, definitely.
For a while now. I can't remember, all of the different channels that fall underneath that company, but... So, yeah, there is a history of the Discovery Channel and fake documentary.
Infamous history of them doing these things.
There's the one that you mentioned.
Dragons.
The dragons. There's one about mermaids, which I remember watching.
They burned me with the dragon one, so I didn't watch the mermaid
but
one.
And then I think the most infamous one of recent memory is probably the Megalodon documentary.
I forgot all about that one.
Discovery Channel has this history of making documentaries that are just fake. They just make things up. Or there might be some accurate information in there. It'll all be like, we've caught evidence of a living mermaid.
Yeah, the historic information is there, like maybe the mythology and the historic information is usually correct.
But then it'll also be like they'll have fake eyewitnesses, or there's a guy who's his main job is being an actor in these movies.
There's this guy, I can't tell you his name. He's in the mermaid documentary. He's also in the Helltown documentary, and you
said he was in the dragon one too, right?
I was mistaken. He's not in the dragon one, but he was in. I think he's also in the Megalodon one, though. That wouldn't
surprise me.
But he plays 3 different characters, but he's not trying to hide that he's in these.
Yeah. His
face is fully in view, and if you watch all of these documentaries, fake documentaries back to back, you're like, that guy that's not that guy's name. He goes under different names.
That guy's a professor at Cuyahoga College. He's not Dr. McMermaid.
I think he was a marine biologist in the mermaid documentary.
It's been so long since I've seen that, but
I need to rewatch it.
But yeah, and it usually be they'll just build up to we're gonna reveal the footage of this mermaid.
Oh my god!
And then it's CGI, and it's the worst CGI.
It's 2009 CGI.
But then they did this. I remember a lot of those in the mid early 2000s.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Helltown documentary came out in 2017.
2017, man.
And I watched the first half hour of it or so, first 45 minutes, but within 10 minutes it's oh yeah, no, this is fake.
Yeah.
They've got one character who is the most stereotypical conspiracy theorist you can imagine. Okay, not most stereotypical, because he didn't have the thread board.
He didn't have. Oh, I know. He was missing
the. Yeah.
No, I thought he did have a thread board.
Maybe there was one I didn't see.
Okay, I thought I was saying.
But there were the walls of his office were just plastered in pictures of
printouts of Illuminati stuff, and
Eddie's just the most stereotypical one. But at the same time, I was like. So the premise of the movie, the framing narrative is these teenagers in 2016 went to Helltown, and then one of them died. And
live filmed it. Yeah, they live streamed it, which in 2017, we had Twitch and everything, but The footage of the live stream, the immediate, like, this is fake is there's no chat window.
Yeah.
That's the immediate, like, this is fake. There's no chat. Like, there's, like, boom, done.
But so that's kind of the framing narrative. And then this conspiracy theorist, like, was like, they never told us why. The government never said what evidence they had. It was a bear attack. They just killed a bear.
Yeah.
And said this was it.
Yeah.
I got a doctor friend who got me the coroner's report. And here's all this evidence for why it wasn't a bear attack. And I was like, you're a conspiracy theorist and you don't know how to file a FOIA request?
Yeah.
Like, so, this is fake. This is 100% fake. He would know how to do this.
There's also too many narratives going on in this documentary. There's too... It feels like they wanted to make 3 movies.
Which is honestly, I think, kind of like, if you wanted to relay information about the Helltown mythos.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting, because it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, they've got the government conspiracy story. They tell the story of, like, the founding of the town. And the problematic part of it was, like, they tied in the satanic worship. They also make it
a Windy Boy cult.
Yeah, they make it, the white settlers started doing Native American practices.
Yeah, oh my
now
God.
It's satanic?
Yeah, and now it's satanic.
Yeah.
Like, but it was supposedly started as an offering to, I'm not saying it's what it's actually called, but I'm going to call it a Windy Boy. And if you guys know what I mean when I say Windy Boy.
Yeah. Well, and they do the very Western, the European version of it, where it's basically a deermatar. You should call it a deermatar.
A deermatar, yeah, a deernatar,
which
or
is not like
half deer, half human Windy Boy.
Yeah, which is not the like when you do like any bit of research into it, that's not what the traditions say those creatures look like.
No, because they're even more spiritual. They're not even that much of creatures now. They're like they're described as more of a spirit.
White people will lump them in with cryptids, but it's not a cryptid. It is a very specific cultural.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, looks dope.
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah, it's
scary creature.
Yeah,
scary looking design, but not what any Native American tribe would have it like written. Like any indigenous tribe, it's not what it looks like.
Yeah.
But yeah, they looped that in. They created a whole fake cult. Like you said, you have the government conspiracy thing going in with the teens getting murdered by a creature, and this YouTube conspiracy guy going in and trying to find that.
So he's a YouTuber. I'm very sad they didn't fully commit to the bit and make a fake YouTube channel for him.
I know.
I looked for it because I was like, you need to make at least one episode of his fake YouTube channel.
I know, that would have been so cool. It'd been so fun. Even like Blair Witch Project made an entire fake website.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Well, and that's what, like, it was a very stereotypical conspiracy theorist character, but I liked him a lot.
he's enjoyable.
He had a cameraman who was very fun. And I was like, I would watch this YouTube series.
I would watch this as a show, like this, like a fake, like it's like a comedy show, like kind of on the realm of like Ghost Team or whatever.
Yeah, and just like let's like make this guy who accidentally stumbles onto actual conspiracies, but then completely misses the point.
Yeah,
I would watch that show.
And then in the less fun, there's this period piece / like a old army guy giving an account of when him and 3 dudes from the army went in to document the town.
The evacuation of the town.
The evacuation of the town after it was already evacuated, coming in with camera gear and a microphone and recording gear, and then stumbling upon the Windy Boy cult that's still going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of mixed narratives. Like, it's pulling in, like, if I was to make a movie, I'm like, there's too much. There's too much going on.
Yeah.
If you want to make it a TV series, maybe kind of like how the Fear Street.
Yeah.
Like, where it jumps
Fear
between
Street
eras.
was so good.
Like, that would be like a cool way to do that story. But I was also like, it is a fake documentary, but you're pulling in elements of all the different stories. And so, like, letting us in on all of these different stories about Helltown, which I admit is kind of a cool way to do it.
It is kind of a cool way to do it.
If you want to convince people this is real, you're doing a bad... Well, in my mind, I was like, I know this is 100% fake. I could tell it right off the bat. But at the same time, when I was on Amazon renting the movie, there's a 1-star review where somebody said, I did some research and I found the only thing about this that was true was in 1975, the government took everybody's land.
Yeah, that's literally the only true thing.
A lot of people thought it was true, I guess.
Apparently, it is, out of all of their fake documentaries that this company has done, This is the least convincing. I think this, and this is me coming at it with like rose-colored glasses, because the dragon one was pretty convincing, but I was like 12.
Well, I think they played their hand in this one a little too quick.
They did, so quickly.
Like, they should have spent more time building up the history side and things like that, and then like gone into the kids.
Yeah.
With like, because with the mermaid and the dragon one, it was here's all of this history of it, and then we're going to show you the footage.
Because the first thing you see in this documentary, the opening scene, is the kids live streaming going into Helltown. Like, and that's the first thing you see.
And they show you footage of like the kids in this tunnel, and then like you can see a figure that doesn't look like a bear.
Yeah, and then cut.
Yeah, which I also like. From one standpoint, that makes much more sense, because if you give us something, we're going to be more willing to believe than if you're like, oh wait, we're going to wait till the end. I was like, why should I pay attention? Like, you're obviously making all this up.
Exactly. I feel like they wanted to make 3 different movies, but decided, they only had the budget to make one, so they went in and was like, well, let's put everything into this one.
Like I would have, if I was going to make a fake documentary about Helltown, I would have picked one narrative and stuck with it.
Yeah.
If my goal was to make a fake documentary that would convince people.
Oh yeah.
I also don't know if that was their plan. If they're
I don't know anymore with these ones. Yeah.
They're like, do we want to make people think this is real? Because they still did.
They still did. A lot of people, a good amount of people bought it.
I think it'd be very fun to make a fake documentary about something, but I also would be like, I know people are going to think this is real, even if right off the bat I put up a thing saying this is fake.
People are going to ignore that.
Yeah, like because people did that with Blair Witch.
Blair Witch, yeah.
They put up at the beginning like this is a work of fiction. Some people missed that.
Oh, a lot of people missed it.
But people also just ignored that part and said, oh no, this is real.
Yeah. There was I remember hearing about Blair Witch when it came out and seeing it in the video store. I believed that it was 100% real, but I'm like 6 at the time.
Yeah.
And I was fully convinced that this was real for a good like 3 weeks after the movie came out, or was at least released on VHS.
But adults did too.
But adults did too. There were people, like, you can look this up. People can like research this too and look this up. People were sending sympathy letters to these parents of the actors, because of like, oh man, I'm sorry your kids are still missing, like that I'm so sorry that you had to see that again through the release of this footage. The actors used their real names in the film. They had like a code word. I think burrito was their code word to like break the scene. When they were getting too overwhelmed or having to have a break, they would have to be like burrito, and they would know, okay, this is a cut, we're not filming, we're done with the scene. Because using their real names kind of fucked with them a little bit.
Yeah. And they didn't know a lot of what was going to happen.
And they didn't know a lot of it was going to happen. And you can say what you want about like the quality of the movie. You can say what you want about what you think of it. And your opinion is completely valid. I don't know how you feel about it. We didn't directly talk about it before, but I actually really like it.
Oh, I think it's a very effective movie.
I think it's creepy. Like, it's not scary.
I think people get cynical about it because of the fact that they're like, oh, everyone said it was real. I was like, they didn't say it was real. They just played it real because they knew that would get the hype.
It played it really well and real. And like, looking back on it, not a bad movie.
Yeah, well, and the stuff that people make fun of as far as like the reactions and the staring at the camera and the acting, like, also because that's the difference I think between realism and acting, is like they're not acting so much. Like, it's not acting as much as they are having genuine reactions to the situation that they're put in. Yeah. Which can be off-putting. I can get why somebody might not want to watch it, but I think it's a really well done movie.
Oh yeah.
It is creepy. It's scary.
Yeah, it's not one of I think when people go into watching it, I think they go in expecting something more like terrifying and jump scary. Like, if you go in expecting to get the shit scared out of you, I don't think that's what you got to go in expecting. If you go in with like an open mind to Blair Witch Project, I go for the vibe. I watch it like every fall season, every Halloween season, because it gets me into that spooky fall vibe, because it definitely has a attitude about itself that is a creepy atmosphere, and it's unsettling because it does feel as real as it can, because now found footage movies don't feel real anymore. But that one, for some reason, even Paranormal Activity didn't feel real on a rewatch.
Yeah, well, especially because with the ending they picked, which is the jump scare.
the Blair Witch Project holds a special place in my heart because of how just it feels the most real. It feels the most found out of every found footage movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it just hits that sweet spot of like, this is unsettling enough. And I'm never creeped out by it.
This documentary that Travel Channel did, it's
not that. It's not Blair Witch Project.
I think it's kind of cool because it does bring in all of these different things. They've not brought in the serial killer yet, to my knowledge.
No, and I think they mention mutants, but it's like an offhand comment in the thing.
So the mutants are something that existed before the movie.
Yeah.
As far as the story goes.
Yeah.
Were there even discounting the fact that Wendy is not a cryptid in my mind, were there cryptid stories?
No.
There's not so much in the way of cryptids.
There was, in the research that I did, there was the only cryptid was the supposed giant snake.
Okay.
Like, but there were no, how like you even have like, we had like 3 things of frogman sightings. Mm-hmm. No sightings of this fucking snake.
It's just a story somebody told.
It was just a story somebody told. There's no footage. There's no like supposed sightings of it. It's just someone said there was a snake here.
Yeah. This is like the 3rd episode now where I'm like, I want to go back and do like a mini-sode on Helltown where we like pull on more narrative threads to see what we can find. Because there is so much to the Helltown mythos that where it's like, there's this giant snake, but nobody's ever actually seen it. It's just somebody said a story once. And see if we can figure out where that came from. Or like the things like the orphanage, like where, like how much truth is there behind the stories? Like, is this something where we have actual like accounts of people being like, yes, we went out to the orphanage, this is what we saw? Or is it another thing where it's like, I've heard where the orphanage, you go in there and you see that. And also because of this documentary, I wanted to know like, okay, how much of the story of Helltown spawned from this documentary where people saw it and jumped onto it. Like, I'm with the Wendy stuff. Is this a story that came from where the filmmakers were like, you know what we need? We need a Native American story because all haunted stuff is Native Americans.
In America, at least, yeah.
And so, like, is that something that happened because of this movie? Or is it something that there is an older narrative tradition about Helltown that involves that, because we tend to do this in general where we just, if there's something spooky going on, we just want to be like, oh yeah, Native Americans. Yeah. But still, like, even if that's a problematic trope in American folklore, is it still something at least that came before the movie?
Right. Is there a seed or that of something there that could have sprouted this?
Yeah. Or was it something that we now say about Helltown because of this movie?
Yeah. It's because they didn't like in the movie the orphanage right there. Like, they don't even mention the orphanage in the documentary, and I feel like that's got a way better story opportunity than a cryptid creature thing. I don't know. I feel like you could have made a way better story out of that.
So here's one other question I have for you regarding the documentary. Yeah. Because I tried to look it up, and I couldn't find anything immediately. Like, do you know the day it came out?
No, not the day.
I know
it only said 2017. I mean,
that's what I wanted. I want to know the date because there's part of me that's like, was this April Fool's? Was it a Halloween thing where they're like, let's put out a spooky documentary?
You know what? I'm gonna go on Google and maybe it'll tell me the exact date. Let's see if it does. Let's see. We're doing this live. Do this live right now. It's got 2.9 stars. Just letting you know what's going on. Documentary, I'm going to say release date. Ha ha! Remember how you said it was what if it was released around Halloween? Mm-hmm. Release date, according to IMDb, is, I believe it said it right here, release date was October 29th of 2017.
That makes, like, that's another part of me where it's like, how could people watch this? Yeah. And though at the same time, if I was making a documentary about something spooky, yeah, I'd want to release it in Halloween month. Yeah. That makes the most sense to me. But at the same time, I think that's like where the other documentaries that we're talking about, where their strength was, I think, holding off to the end to a certain degree. Yeah. But also the fact that I don't think they didn't seem like they were presenting a narrative, where this one, it is narrative driven. Like,
yeah, it is. It's stories very being told, much narrative driven.
And like, so you've got like the story beats that you hit, where like this is too convenient of a story to be real.
Mm-hmm, it's way like, God, some of the dumb some of the really dumb shit in it was that bolt was that rock?
Yeah, that's right where I stopped.
Oh, yeah.
There was this boulder that the kids sprayed a pentagram on. The conspiracy theory guy's like, this boulder wasn't here in the 60s. How'd this rock get there? And then he goes to the rock, and he knocks on it.
And it's hollow.
It's hollow. You know, when you're a kid and you're in a school play and they're like, we need a rock.
Yeah, it's that.
It's paper.
That.
It's like a papier-mâché rock.
It's exactly that type of material.
And Eric and I are both like, how did it stay there? Like,
how does it stay there and not get blown over on, like, a decently windy day?
I am convinced they were like, we are going to make a tongue-in-cheek mockumentary. We're going to make it so obvious that this isn't real, because that's one of the things where I was like, if I was the government, and it ends up being like the government is hiding a lab.
Yeah, underneath. And spoiler alert, I know you haven't watched this part yet, but spoiler alert, they get footage of the lab, and then they got to go back for some reason, but where they went, the entrance to the lab, cemented over.
It's mutant quick-acting cement.
Yeah, it's cemented over so they can't get back into the lab.
I was like, yeah, if the government's going to hide an entrance to a lab underneath a rock, you would make it, like, at least attached to the ground somehow? Like,
exactly.
Not because you could just pick it up and, like, fling
or you would make it a real rock.
Yeah.
Or it would be an actual boulder.
Yeah, like... so it's... I understand that people will believe these things. I also don't get why people... But yeah.
I mean, people believe QAnon, for God's fucking sakes.
Yeah. But anyways, we have been going on for quite a while.
Yes, we have.
But I think it's a testament to the Helltown, where like that's what I do want to come back and start pulling more on some of the narrative threads, because we just did this was kind of a buckshot. We're gonna give like an overview of all the different story types that have congealed around this town. I do think it'd be really fun to be like we're getting specifics now. We're just like here are the ones where we've actually been able to trace a longer story of it, and that's one of the things where like. The chemical, like I was saying, the chemicals are really interesting, because I've seen more about that online. Yes. Which makes me think that's been a longer running concept, is that there was a chemical spill and the government was trying to cover it up.
That sounds more, that one out of the ones does sound like the more plausible one.
Yeah. That and the snake.
The snake. Never mind that pythons aren't indigenous to Ohio.
They dropped it off. They like Dumbo Drop when they dropped the elephant.
It's like
they did that with the snake.
Oh, you know what? It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like TGRI. They the mutagen from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
This makes a big old snake.
There was a chemical drop. This was just your average garter snake, and now it's Big Boy.
And now it's what would us?
And he keeps the slime rabbit population.
Did the Turtles have a snake bad guy? No. They didn't have a snake bad guy. Now I'm trying to think of what the Turtles would name their snake bad guy. Probably something like Pythor, or like Slither. or Slicks, or Slickin' Snake, or Slicky, or I don't know. Or
I'm also getting uncomfortable porn vibes.
Or you could go with one of my favorite snake men from He-Man, Tongue Lasher.
Oh no.
Tongue Lasher. That was a children's toy they sold to children. His name was Tongue Lasher.
Anyways. Thank you for listening again.
Thank you so much.
Share with people that you like or you don't like. Maybe this is the way you bridge a rivalry.
Maybe this is where you make your extended relatives hate you.
Review us on the various apps where you can review us.
Please do 5 stars and a little review, like a little written review. If you are able to write a review as well as give us some stars, that is also great. We might even read those.
Yeah, let us know what you think, what you want to hear more about, what you want to hear less about. Send us emails.
Yes, please.
If you got any stories that you want, even if it's not like a personal narrative, if it is something that you say, hey, I've heard this story, would you look into it?
Even if it's not from, like we had the ones from Whiskey that were like, hey, this happened to my sister. It doesn't even have to happen to a family member. It can be literally like, hey, I heard about this bridge, or I heard about this thing.
Yeah, and we'll look into it.
Yeah, we'll totally
we'll research for you.
Yeah, we'll research for you and do an episode on it.
But in the meantime, stay spooky. Stay nice.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.